how to, you start learning about Noach. Noach, we'll see if anything we get to the war or not. I don't know if there's anything we said already. I think is one of the most either misunderstood or I don't even know how to talk about him, in the sense that he's called Tzaddik Tamid by Doraisov, and Rashi says, saying that with the Avram, it's Machlekes in the Gemara, if it's a Shvach or a Genai. In other words, that if he would have been Avram's generation, would have even been bigger, or if Haker Keneged Avram is nothing. But Lamaise, the Torah still calls him Tzaddik. We talk about him all the time. It's one of the only ones before the Mabul. There's like two guys, probably Chanoich and Noach, that I think that you name him Adam. They started naming people, not name their kids Adam. And, but it's normally, but you don't call Sheish and Enosh and Shem and Avel and a lot of tzaddikim, the Mishushelach. I've never met any of those people, but Noach you met and stuff like that. Like a white, Noach somehow obviously is something special. He is something big, and yet we look at him funny. The same thing goes with Adam, really. Adam, he got one mitzvah and couldn't even live up to it. Wow, who's he? What's Adam, right? And the Gemara says Adam was a chassid gadol hoya. No, he's a tremendous tzaddik. What he did. So and the Rebbeinu Shalom, regular people can't see him. In other words, Yitzir Kapai, I created him. I made Adam. He's perfect. There's nothing there, and we can't even understand that. He can't even follow orders. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so therefore I think we'll try a little bit to understand it. So first of all, we have the Loshen Doraisov in his generations. Normally a person is B'Dorav in his generation. What do you mean generations? Nobody lives generations. So I want to tell you that he lived 2 generations, 2 lifetimes. He lived before the Mabul and after the Mabul. And I have a raya to that. Of course, the Gemara darshans on the Rotze that we say after Shemoneh Esrei, that the Kishonim Kadmonies, so it says, it goes to upteich between the Dur of Noach compared to later times, or Dur of Noach and Hevel. Sheloi hoyu avei zora b'yameihim. And the other one Pshat goes after Beis Hamikdash. But there was no Avodah Zarah in their time. What do you mean there's no Avodah Zarah in their time? Noach's before the Mabul, it was full of Avodah Zarah. So what do you mean there was no Avodah Zarah in his time? So obviously the second lifetime. They'll say there was a Migdal. There was a Migdal. So there's a Migdal was Kfirah, but not Avodah Zarah. And you'll say, but isn't that the same thing? No. The Haftarah in Parshas Based, so there's 2 different Averas. One is you don't believe in me, and the second one is you believe in something that's not true. It's a bigger Avera. In other words, one is you don't believe in me, and then you believe, but you should believe in me. You believe in something that's not true, and that's the second Avera. So that's the Taich of Doraisov. Okay. And then it says there was a Kimis Halach Noach. We went with a reason. Now Rashi says over here that why would he be different than Avram? Avram was Hasher's Halach Lefonai. He went before me. And now it says it's Azol Kimis Halach. So this is a kasha. What is the real difference? So you want to say, Well, he used the Lashon, Rashi's Lashon, he needed a so'ed. Where is it? ויש לושן לגנאי, he needed something to prop him up, needed help. So the normal type of help would be you get reward, right? So you tell them, and that's a method used even now in Kiruv. Become religious, you'll see God will take care of you, it'll be an easier life, you'll make panosi, you don't have to work 7 days a week, you can get away with 6 days a week, it'll be whatever it is there. Does it work? It doesn't work. The ones that are matzliach, so then they remain religious. If it turns away, they change back and become fry again. Doesn't make a difference. Now, they don't become maminim because they believe in God. They believe in the success. Okay. To say that was what made Noach, it's hard to say, because Noach was really an unsuccessful person. If you want to be, I don't know about financially he may have had money. Could be because he made the plow and he had a monopoly on it, and he probably sold a lot of plows. Okay, so he made money. But Lamaisa, as far as a life of people believing in him and holding him, he's a Navi. He's a person, but yet nobody listens to him. And probably they made fun of him 120 years building a box, a tape over there is going to float, because it's going to be a marble. They're going to laugh at him. They're laughing at him for 120 years, and he still couldn't out and did it. That's pretty good, if you ask me. Now, as far as the thing there, but can't say he had a good life. Avram Avinu, he was a rich man. He was going around. He's Nasi Elokim b'Sechenu. I mean, of course, what do you compare the two to each other? I mean, Avram was very successful, and Noach was not successful. So why you say he needs help? He didn't need help. He was still sticking around, being a fummy guy. So in time, that doesn't mean the help that we're talking about. The help we're talking about over here is that he understood the mitzvah. So the problem with it is, that's very nice. I understand why God would tell me to do certain things. For instance, why you make a box? Why do you have to go into it? Because it's going to rain and people are going to drown. And if you don't go into the box, you're going to drown. So therefore, there's a reason to it. So do I have to go into the box before I'm going to drown? No, I'm going to be stuck there for a year. Why should I go in there any minute before I have to go in there? When the last minute I have to go in. So this, what it says later at Taina, Noach, that he went into the table, because of the water of the marble. That's why he went in, not because God said go into the box, but you went in because you were going to drown. That was wrong. Now, how do you get to be wrong? Because my attitude was, I understand what I'm told. Now, I put a reason to what my human reason to God's command. And when I do that, I run into a lot of problems. God's command has nothing to do with that. So it says, B'Emerson, that Noach, that Avram was bigger than that. Now, he says, L'kim Yishalach. Now, Yikash is, Hazalach L'fonai. There's no reasoning. You're supposed to do it. Now, you got to realize, if he only did his halach l'fonai after God commanded him at 99 years old, God never commanded Noach to do halach l'fonai. Maybe if he would have commanded him, he also would have been the same way. He would have had a different mindset of what God wants from him. And it doesn't say that. So I said we got to think about that also. That Avram really had two mindsets, and maybe we'll discuss it probably more in Lech Lecha and Vayera. That the first mindset that he had was adnus, that I don't obey things because I understand what God is saying. I obey things because God said so. So therefore, even though I don't understand it, I still follow orders. Okay. And we'll show next week, Mir Hashem, that the Lech Lecha, the first 5 maybe, it's a question of which nisyonis you count, so I'm saying. But the first nisyonis that I count anyway would come out to be was to test simply to obey orders without understanding. The second 5 is a secondary store which happened after the Benishim told him his Harav Reuven when he was 99 years old. And to say, so what do you need more than that? If you're doing things already without reason, so therefore you're already bigger than Noach already. What do you have to come on Tashes Harav Reuven? You should have said that the fact is avadnus would have been it. He said no, because his Harav Reuven was even a higher madrege. What he did was the last 5 nisyonis we'll talk about over there are contradictory to what God said. And therefore you even follow that, meaning without question. That's where the point of Harav Reuven, nothing comes into mind past the Tzivah Hashem. I don't put in my own mind at all into anything. And because of that, there's tremendous amounts of success in it. Because the idea is we don't think like God, and that's what it is. And this is negated to our war too. Yes, the good kasha. You know, we saying Tillim, and we come across right? So we're saying it about the Arabs. If you ask me, do the Arabs believe in God? Yes. They believe in our God. The Shiva has that we're not allowed to say the name of what they call God with the Yeh. We're not allowed to say because they're referring to the one God, and that's the Shem that they call him, and therefore that Shem is Kodesh. So we're not allowed to just say what equal against it. So, and even if you hold the Christians who believe already in Shituf and all these things, but if you hold Shituf is mutter to a goy, and what do you call it there? So again, they believe in God, if that's the case. So then why are you calling them who are our biggest oppressors in the last 2,000 years were Christians and Arabs? And they only do oppress. We didn't have only people oppressing us. So why do we say this thing? So one of the times there's something that he said doing slichas about Shemei Tefillah. In Shemei Tefillah, you're saying how great God is. That's the first slicha we say. Every day you say the same slicha. And it says how great he is, what he created, what he's doing, and everything. And then it says, nobody is like you in all the nations of the world. There's no chachamim, no one. What are you, crazy? You talk about human beings compared to God? Can a human being create the world and things like that? So why you go from way up there to way down there? It doesn't make sense. No, I'm not doing that. What I'm doing is I'm saying, among the goyim, whatever they touch up God is, they can't imagine you. They imagine things of good and bad. They imagine, like the Greeks, many gods. There's a thing there, but you have one God that everything comes from him. What we call good and what we call bad, and everything comes from him. That they can't understand. And therefore, that's the thing. The same thing is, probably the Arabs and the Christians definitely don't understand it, because they have the good comes from Yoshke and bad comes from the Sultan. I don't know if the Arabs have any teretz for this, but L'maaseh, to understand that everything is from God, like otherwise they should have done tshuva a long time ago. They said whatever is happening to them, you know, stuff like that. And same how they don't seem to feel that they did anything wrong. So obviously they don't feel the Benishim feel developed, you know, and stuff like that. There's something less than that, and that's what it means. To understand God the way He is, that they don't understand. And that's the thing. Okay. Now, there's another strange thing, the difference between Noach and Avram, that most of the tzivuim to Avram come from Hashem, which is the Midas HaRachamim. And the Midas and the ones that come to Noach, there are exceptions, and so that's why I say most, come to Noach is from Elokim, which is Midas Hadin. So like it's a tougher regard at that moment. In other words, a different din he's talking about. So let's see what the Elokim told Noach. He said, I'm going to destroy the world, and I want you to build a box, whatever you want to call it, a barge. It doesn't have any flat. I mean, all the pictures of Noach's boat, the ark, is not like the way, to my picture of it. I mean, it's a plain box of 300 amas long, 50 amas wide, 30 amas high. It happens to be, I think, I read one place, that this is the perfect balance for boats not to turn over. Now, you see a lot of times by trucks, the bridge say, like semis are not allowed to cross the bridge in high winds, stuff like that. They close the bridge for them, for the trucks. Why? Because they're not balanced, and therefore, if the wind will hit it, it'll turn it over. It won't knock them on the side. This won't be knocked on the side. If you have 6 to 1, and then 3 to 10, or whatever it is, whatever the portion is going to be, but whatever it is. Okay. And he says, what's going to be? I want you, and you want two of every min. It doesn't say kosher, not kosher. Every min will come to you, right? They'll come to you to live. In other words, you don't have to get them; they'll come to you. And then you take food and you go in, and he says, God, he did everything God told him, Elokim told him to do. Next pasuk, Vayema Hashem l'Noach. He sends to, or this is a point, okay, we'll talk about it now in a minute. He says over there, this generation I shall use the tzaddik, and therefore I'm going to save you. It says before, tzaddik tomim. Tzaddik, by definition, means I'm right. So therefore we argued, and there's a right side and there's a wrong side. And I'm right, okay? It's a thing there, but there's an opposing side. Tomim is you're complete, you're good. Everybody agrees with you. Everybody says you're right. That's a bigger madrigal in tzaddik. So Rashi says the reason he didn't say tzaddik tomim over here because miksas shvachai b'fonav. When you're talking to the person himself, you don't tell him all the good things about him. You give him only miksas shvachai. And you think about him. So Rashi is, if I can give part of it. It didn't say I have to give the smaller part, give the bigger part. So why didn't you say tomim or yibidoisav? Why do you pick on tzaddik? So he said because there are times a person has to be a tzaddik. That's the question. In other words, you have to be someone that's an opponent to something. And that the Mabul, he was an opponent to the Avodah Zarah, to everything that was taking on in the world, the Gezel and the Rayas and everything that the world was doing. He opposed. So that was the biggest mile that you were in opposition to all these things. Not that everyone says, oh, Noach, great guy, and everybody agrees with him, and stuff like this. No, Noach is against us. Noach is what he called. And that's the biggest mile. Okay. So there's times when you need to be a tzaddik over a tamim. I wanted to tell you maybe in the Rabbonos or something, that's how a person grows. First you're a tzaddik, and after a while, if you're a tzaddik for a while, everyone starts calling you a tamim already. Now they accept what you say. without question. Okay, so that's a madrege that comes in after a time. But this was still in his youth, when he was still in he still another 350 years lived afterwards. Okay. But here it says already a new thing. He tells him, I want you to take 7 of the kosher ones. Okay? And who's telling him this? Hashem is telling this, the Midas Racham. Now I assume the reading he's telling it to him is that when he gets out of the Babel, he's able to make korbanos HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and to make a reich, which we're talking about. So, the Chayr is a contradiction to what Elokim said. So we can learn that it's really not a contradiction. If we'll take a look at the Rishonos, that Vayavai Noach b'nav Ishtei b'nav Itay u'min ha'behema ha'tahira u'min behema she'ena ha'tahira. That's the next in Parsha, that you have from the kosher and non-kosher. Menoi for kosher lemes ha'adam shnayim b'oil Noach. 2 came to Noach. Who said that? Elokim said that, right? What about the other 5 that he has to get at the kosher, right? That he had to go get himself. In other words, they came by themselves, came like Elokim said. I'm telling you to go get out and get another 5 of each one and take them with you. And that was what Hashem said. And that was for Parshas Kabbalah. So therefore both things were really Mekuyim. In other words, in the thing there. And it says exactly, Shnayim Boirol Necha Teva Zochel Mekevik Asher Tiva Elokim is Noach. Like Elokim told him. Because not that wasn't what Hashem told him. Hashem told him 7. Okay. You go, what he called, and it started to rain. And other things. I saw I think last year was, I'm not sure, last year or 2 years ago, in the Yoted, they had theories on in the magazine section. They put in sometimes theories that they have on different things. One was on the scientific. So he said, how did the Maines HaTahaim get up to the top? How did the waters at the bottom get to the top? So he said that his theory was that all the volcanoes in the world all popped at the same time. So in other words, they brought up all the lava and all the water that comes that's in the time, and they brought it up to they spouted it up in the air or whatever it is there, and that came down. Besides the melting of the ice caps and the things, because it was boiling water, and whatever was additional water came down also. Okay. He wants to tie in with that of course we're going to find at the end of the Mabul the mention of seasons. And it says, Oid kol yemei ha'oret zera v'kotze v'kor v'choyim v'kayitz v'chayrev v'yom v'laylo yishboisu. It doesn't say that by B'riyas Olam and stuff like that. So what was it? We didn't have seasons before. It wasn't the point of kayitz as summer and winter and stuff like that. So he wants to tie it enochinami. There was no such thing as summer and winter until the Mabul. What happened was, as long as the Earth spun on its axis, in other words, it was completely even, it was even. There was no more heat, no more cold, no anything else. But we're all 23 degrees off the axis, the Earth. It's on a tilt. Okay? So therefore, it's closer to the sun and further from the sun at different times. And because of that, we have winter and summer. He says that happened because all the volcanoes exploded, so therefore it hit such an explosion, hit the Earth at one time, it knocked it off and killed the 23 degrees off. Shaykh or not, I have no idea. I said, it's a theory.
Wasn't that made by Hashem?
Huh?
The axis, wasn't that made by Hashem?
I guess so. I can't, maybe this also has been Hashem, obviously. So the shaila is, why did he do it, Hashem? Why didn't he leave it the first way? Why didn't he make it this way? Like that I can't answer you. Well, it's a theory. I said they put it in the former newspaper. So I assume that you can assume it's mutter to say it. I have no idea if it is or not. It's something to think, but it was a cute theory that they brought up. Okay. Okay, destroys everything. It says over here, so Rashi says a funny thing here. The Kitani Amona, that they really didn't believe there's going to be a Mabel. It's hard to say, to take it literally, that's what Rashi means, because a guy to work 120 years on building a teva, don't forget there was no electric saws and things like that. He had his little axe maybe, and he's chopping down these big trees, and he's got a thing there, and they got to make them into planks and the things. The thing there, to be able to work 120 years is pretty hard, especially people making fun of you and stuff like that. So why will we say that? But we've gone to what we explained before, that he put a reason into the mitzvah. So obviously God told me to go into the box, right? Why did he tell me to go into it? Because he wants me to save me from the marble, from the water, right? So until I know I'm going to be locked up in this box for a long time, so obviously I want to stay out as long as I can. So therefore, Miriam Ibn Marble is not really a chesed. No, but I put that reason myself. That why is the God telling me to go into the teva? Because that way you forgot that God could have saved you with lots of simpler ways. I know about simpler ways, different ways. He could have taken it up like Shemayim, right? Okay. That's you complete out of the picture altogether. Or he could have put a covered dome on top of you when you were living in a regular area, like a covered stadium, and put like that. And you have a big place, you can have all your animals there, you take care of them, and it's like more like a human being. What do I have to go into a boat for? So obviously the Benishim is telling you there's a time that you have to do tzoros too. And you have to, and there is such a din in Shulchan Aruch. I'm not getting involved in this now. It's something they book the rabbis about, whether because of the eight soul, the Yankov now that we have, is there such a thing of couple upon ourselves, certain things not to do that's a pleasurable thing over there because the world is suffering. Or are we talking about only hunger years? Is that a plate? So it's something to think about, but not for the moment. Okay, so I said became an attitude in the mitzvah, how you do a mitzvah. In other words, the mitzvah, I do it because the reason I understand, and that could be far away from what God wants done. God wanted you locked up in there because you also have a blame a little bit here. And because of that, you have to be in the box for a year, even though it's not raining outside. Why say in the end he does tshuva on that? He doesn't go out until the Benishim tells him to go out, even though he could have gone out before. Okay. Okay, he came down, landed at Harav on Harav, which is not the highest mountains in the world. Now, again, it depends where you are. If the boat would have been by the Himalayas, maybe it would have landed on the ground a lot earlier. It's possible. On the other hand, he happened to be in Turkey, so he landed on Harav. The water had to sink lower than it did over there. Or somehow, and this maybe will explain that Eretz Yisrael was the highest part of the earth. What do you mean Eretz Yisrael, the highest part of the earth? It's only Yerushalayim is only about 4,000 feet above sea level, I mean, or whatever it is. So how is that? I don't know about the whole cheshbon of how it works, but maybe it works two ways. The simplest way is the earth is not round, it's elliptical. It's more like an oval. It looked pretty round to me when I took it to the globe. I mean, yeah, but this part is higher and this part is lower and whatever it is this. So it's not exactly the same. So if everything goes on sea level, now the sea level over here is not the same sea level as over there. Where do you have that with the Pacific and the Atlantic for sure? The Atlantic is about 30 feet higher than the Pacific, so the sea level was 30 feet higher. So therefore, on that side, you don't have islands, you don't have what do you call it? On this side, you need locks to get from the Atlantic to the Panama Canal. You need locks. On the other hand, to go from the Suez, which is the Indian Ocean, and from the Atlantic into the ocean, you don't need locks. You just float through. Why? Because they're the same size, the same height. So there is such a thing as different sea levels. Okay. So that's one thing, could be. And therefore, Yerushalayim really is the top of the thing, but to cover the sea level that's around it, it's not the highest part. No, the Himalayas are further from sea level. A second pshat could be that, to get up to the Himalayas or any mountain, you have different stages. It's not one mountain that goes like this. It goes like that. So it goes piecewise up. So you have, I think, the main station that they have to prepare is 13,000 feet, I think. I don't know what the name of the station is, but that's where they're able to prepare. They cook things. They whatever they make for the final assault and then going up the final 1,500 feet, 15,000 feet. On the other hand, Eretz Yisrael could be from going from Yam HaMelech, which is about 1,700 feet, I don't know, meters, I'm not too sure, below sea level, to Yerushalayim, which is 3,000, 4,000 feet above sea level, is kemat a straight line up. You always feel you're going up. So if you feel you're going up, so therefore maybe the highest area of ascent in the world is from that many feet below sea level to that many feet above sea level. I don't know if that's true or not. I have no way to measure it, so I can't tell you. But I was saying, but that's not some way of thinking about it that it could be. I don't know. Okay. So it rested over in Harav, and the Maaseh, I believe it's still there. I'm not sure. There definitely was a thing that scientists explored or tried to get to. I don't remember. That's what I'm saying. If they actually got there or they tried to get there, but it was visible. The teva, and there is an on Harav, and there was a thing of it. Everything. I don't know if you were able to get there or not. That I don't know. Okay. Then he sends out the Erev to go and see if the water is now. Obviously, as far as he can see, the water is pretty wet. He doesn't see any place that it's dry. But maybe by a bird flying, you can somehow bring me a simon that the water has dried up someplace. So at least I have hope, or whatever it is. I know exactly what he sent them out for. But that we wanted to know what okay. He sends out the thing, and the Erev doesn't go. Why did he pick the Erev? The Erev is not a kosher bird, it's a teifa bird. But he picked it because we know in the time of Eliyahu Hanavi, he's going to be the shliach that's going to bring him food. And therefore he knew that the Erev is a shliach of Hashem, or could be used as shliach of Hashem, and therefore he used them here. But the Erev wasn't moving. The Erev said, if I get lost, we only got two of me and my wife. If I get lost, or whatever it is there, then my whole min dies out. So that's unfair. So the thing Dalton did. So he didn't go. So what happened is, from the pasuk it says he didn't take him into the teva again. It says he went, and then he said, and he kept flying there ad yevoshes hamayim alot till the earth dried up. When does that mean? It means to Eliyahu Hanavi. That's thousands of years later. The bird ain't alive by then. I mean, that's not. What it means is that the whatever it took, the 100 days or 50 days, something, he didn't let him in. So how does he rest? I guess he could probably rest on top of the teva or something, but he didn't get back into the teva. And the stuff like that. You went out, you don't want to do the job, you're out. And this thing there, didn't kill you. You can still get there, maybe even fed him. That I don't know. But what Lemaise, it says that's what he did. And then he sends out the Yaina. And the Yaina went out, couldn't find. He comes back to the teva, and what does he do? The Yaina he brings back into the teva. That means that the he didn't bring back into the teva. So you see, then he waits another 7 days, and he sends out the Yeva again. And this time he brings out, and he brings a olive branch with him, and of course they make it, that's peace and stuff, whatever. Even though, I don't know if it was a sin for that, we'll see that. Now, Rashi brings a Rashi here, and I want to tell you a story of that people who, I guess, who teach Rashi or teach anything, they shouldn't teach any of these things unless they understand it. Okay, so what does it say over here? She said, is better my food should be bitter like Zayis, given through God, should not be sweet, and I even heard a pshat on this from a Rav, but again, he probably also didn't know the Gemara. So it's talking about that he says that, so he's learned pshat that the Yaina told Noach, if the people would have realized that and they would have said this, that it better have bitter from God than sweet from man, they wouldn't steal, right? Because that's getting it from people. But from God, I'd rather have forbidden. Okay, very nice, wonderful, except the Gemara doesn't say that. The Gemara says the Bayana said it to God. I'd rather have my mezainis from you, that's bitter, than it was the Ma'anaf Gemina, a first grade Rebbe, said this was, again, a different angle than I told you about the other time. And he told them, it says this story, and this is the first grade. And he pops up and says, that's not nice. And if you think about it, it's 100% right. Noach saved you, right? And you come and you tell him, you're feeding me and it's all very nice, but I'd rather be eating from God than from your hands. That's not nice. Where's Yaakov Satayv? And stuff like that, right? But the Rebbe didn't answer him. And they never tell us. He goes, the Kashi. He didn't kick him out at least, okay? Yes, the Kashi. If you know the Gemara says, yes, God. The Nafkamina is, the Rebbe, when he taught it, shouldn't have taught that Rashi. I mean, he taught him at the first grade, he wasn't teaching Rashi yet. So he was just telling him certain Rashis. Like, unless he felt he understood. If he understood it, he still didn't have a teretz for the Rebbe. For the kid, I don't know. I can't answer you. But if something you don't understand, don't teach, because some kid can pick it up, and he asks the kasha that, it don't make sense what you just told me, and then the whole lesson goes out the window. So it's better you don't have the lesson than to have a bittul on the lesson. Okay. I think there's also something what we can do. It's an interesting thing. I don't know if it's emes, but I would think so. It says, on the 601st year, the water dried up. So what did Noach do? He still didn't get out of the table. He took off the roof. Right? And this is that table. He saw the earth. A month later, it's almost 2 months later, Yov Charlotte, he was able to get out. That means, so what did you take the roof off for? Because the Ben Shem can't change his mind and bring the marble now. You promised us you're saving us. Now we saved. If you want to bring the marble again, you're going to drown us. I haven't got a roof. The water isn't going to bounce, so it's going to drown us here in the box. So therefore, the Ben Shem, I limited the Ben Shem's keches. Is there such an inyan of doing that? If it's possible, something like that. In this case, let's say it's possible. Okay, and it's something to think about. Then he told him, and he put him together, him and his wife and his children and their wives. So it says, Rashi says, from here it became mutter to live with your wife. Till then it was also, because it said to go in separately, and now we tell you to go out together. Okay. Then it tells you what actually happened. Ubanov, v'ishtay u'sheibanov. He and his sons went out first, then his wife and the boys. So they didn't get together. Right? So what was the point of telling me that? They didn't live up to it. There was no point of it. So I think I added something to this, my mother's yortzeit, the Shabbos Taki, was the point that there's sometimes you learn how big a person is. When you get married 2 kids. Let's be realistic, the 2 kids. Know anything there, they haven't tasted life yet. There's nothing, they have no nisyanis of life. They're being supported by their parents, or even if they get into kailul or whatever it is they're doing, or the wife works, but it's not the normal way of living yet. We have no children yet, they have no chayasin yet. And it's a game. Somewhere 10 years later, 20 years later, 30 years later, they become somebody. All of a sudden you're Mrs. this, or Rebbetzin this, or Rabbi this, or Rosh Yeshiva that, or whatever you are. You don't want a kid anymore. You grew up, and something like that. And in that trip, you find out many things about your wife, about the relationship. And that's the part what it's telling you, that when Noach married Mrs. Noach, according to Rashi Namo, when they married Namo, they had no idea there's going to be a mabul. Right? So if they had no idea there's going to be a mabul, they got married, so they didn't expect to have to feed animals day and night for a whole year. Right? So I didn't sign up for this, Lamaisa, she stuck it out. She did it. This is what we lived through, and therefore, and this is our life, and that's what we are, and this is what we made of it, and this is so on. And all of a sudden, my wife is, who my wife is? My wife lived through the mob. What she did over there? You know, the thing, all of a sudden, there's a different relationship, a different respect. And this really happens in many, many things. It doesn't have to be with a tragedy. It could be even with a simcha, with a thing. To learn things about your wife that you don't know when you first get married and stuff like that. Especially if the marriage goes the way we do. We go 6 states and you get engaged. And that's what, about 18 hours of knowledge. And maybe another 10 dates before you get married. So in other words, what do you got there? You got something there. And now all of a sudden, we know everything about each other. You know nothing about each other. It seemed that it was pretty good. That's what we see. So therefore, I went along with it. And now we're going to learn about each other. Now we're going to appreciate who you are and what you are and so on. That's the amazing. That's what happened by Noach. And Noach is the only guy, and I don't know, and this was learned later on by the Akedah, maybe that was a suffix of Avram or something, I don't know. Until now, a korban was what we learned from Cain and Hevel, is they went and they put something on a mizbeach, and either it disappeared, a fire came down and burned it down, whatever it is there, but it showed, God showed that he accepted it by all of a sudden the thing disappeared. So God accepted it. So it was good. Didn't accept, it didn't disappear, it didn't. So nobody made a fire. They put it on a mizbeach only. That's when you want to make your korban and you hope that God will accept it, right? Over here, Noach wanted God to accept it. And if he's waiting for God, he tried to force it on God in a way. He made a reach hanichoyach. He made the fire himself. He made the thing, but his kavanas was so great that he was able to maintain, to make a reich nechoyach. It says, "Vayoach Hashem es reich hanechoyach." That means there was a reich hanechoyach that he was able to smell, whatever that means. I mean, he created that. Normally, we cannot create a reich nechoyach. So Reuven Shlit made, he sent the fire down on the Mizbeach by the Mishkan and the Beis Hamikdash, that made that anything now brought on the fire on the Mizbeach will be a reich nechoyach. We can't make a reich nechoyach. Noach was that big, but his kavanas was so pure that he was able to make a reich nechoyach. And the thing over there. So that's also a great thing that Noach was able to do, whatever we think about him. And then he took from all the things, and the Beni Vayema Hashem Alibay, that's Hashem, started with the Midas Harachamim, and then the Beni Vayivorach Elikim is Noach, until the Midas Hadin also joined in and says to the Beni, okay, no more. So he gave him the concept of eating meat. I don't know how vitamins worked before the Mabul. I don't know how to work after the Mabul. I mean, obviously protein did not exist. The pure protein did not exist before the Mabul, because the only pure proteins are animal-based and stuff like that. So you only had vegetable protein, what vegetarians have, and for some reason, they never are able to build the true protein. They can't get all 6 amino acids together to make the full protein. And stuff says, so this vegetable gives you these 3, this vegetable gives you these 2, this gives you that. Now, even together, I get 6, but somehow it's not 1 that's 6, something like that. So the time that it's not the same health, the same chaos that's given to a person by eating true protein. I mean, what do you call it? Meat, eggs, cheese, whatever it is, the milk, fleshy, but animal, it has to be animal-based. Okay. And we're able to eat after that everything because God gave us the shus, and the animals, we have no kasha while we eat animals. We save them, so I guess that gives us a shlit over them. Why we eat fish? Fish has nothing to do with us. The fish didn't die in the Mabul. So if they didn't die in the Mabul, so why do we eat them? Why do we have a right to eat them? I have no idea. But the Rebbeinu gave us the right to eat them too. And what he called it, and he makes the rainbow as the siman that he won't bring a Mabul anymore. And the Gemara says the rainbow is not a siman type. Somehow by the Goyim, the rainbow is a lucky thing, and somebody else it's unlucky, if you want to call it that. When we see a rainbow, we know the world is supposed to be destroyed. Except the Beishah was, instead of destroying us, looked at the bris he made. So therefore, at the time of Yeshua ben Levi, there never was a rainbow. In the way he called it. There's no rainbows. Now, it doesn't mean all over the world, all over the thing. I mean, that's still something I don't understand anyway, because it's only a rainbow is only in one place. So the same thing would go with other simonim that the Rebbeinu Shalom made. For instance, Loka Chama, so it's a siman brad legoyim. Where you have an eclipse of the sun, so then it's a similar for the goyim. A lunar eclipse is similar for the Yidden. It means over the world. It means when China was the eclipse. So how am I supposed to know about this in New York? Rain and stuff like that. Elavos is Parshas. It goes according to where it is, that area. Where it is. For those Yidden or Goyim, in that area, it's not good luck or bad luck, whatever it is. Was there any before this war? I don't know. It's interesting. I'm trying to remember what it was the last time something happened in New York. I don't remember what. I don't know why my mind is. I forgot it was a thing that I kept mentioning quite often. And what happened was that I learned that it was bad, and the Monday before was an eclipse in New York. So that answered the question. Now with the Bensham says it's a similar, doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's a time of collection. In other words, when an eclipse happens and we're chayiv, we're going to get punished then. Not in the thing that we're not chayiv, he's not going to punish us. Because an eclipse can be timed to the second from B'riyas Ha'olam on. The whole thing to figure out exactly when the next eclipse is. There's another point. So therefore, if it works by mathematics, it comes automatically. So you can tell me it's a similar. I mean, it doesn't mean it's similar that the bad thing's going to happen. It means that now it's a time of collection now. Now is the time of din. And then if you're chayiv, you got to pay for it. I'm sorry?
Rainbow is not like that. Is that just an eclipse? A rainbow is not. A rainbow is what
rainbow.
It is.
So the Rav Baruch it shows that he has to bring it up for himself. I once saw two rainbows at the same time. That's what I mean. I don't understand it. One was like this, and one came into it this way. I was crossing the Verrazano, going into Brooklyn. It was a rainy day, and there was these two rainbows about a couple of years ago over there. And it was never. I've heard of people seeing two rainbows, like one over here, and then 10 blocks later you saw another one. So that could be different kasha. But here, like two, one into the other. I don't know, we got worse. Doesn't mean a bigger simon. He has to bring up as many rainbows as he can to make him. Because I can't answer the question. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, now it says in Pasuk here, this is Rabbi Lurcher touched this up, and I hold it's a very nice thing. Noach, Hayetzim in Ateva, Shem Chom v'Yafis, v'Chom hu Avi Kenan. And Chom is the father of Kenan. Why is he mentioning it over here? And the thing that Kenan is the fourth son of Chom. So he's not born at least till 4 years later. So why is he mentioning him here? So this is what he wanted to say. Chum was one of the three that were mishamish in the meat in the teva. There was an Isa that we have to suffer with the world. That you can't live with your wives, you can't live in, no, we're not humans, not animals, doesn't make a difference. And three were Eva on that, the Erev, the dog, and Chum. And all of them were punished. The Erev was punished that the babies are white, and I've actually seen it. And the babies are white, and they're dirty white, but it's white. And and what he called the chum is simply the dark pigmentation, and the dog is that they became like an eved, a type of servitude, as they go. So there was a klola that existed there. Now the question is, Noach mashmo was a tzaddik. When the cheshbon that Avram makes when he asks about Sdom, how many people, so he went up to 10. 9, and they didn't ask for more than 8. He didn't go down to 8 because the Mabu had 8 also, and there were tzaddikim, and the world wasn't saved. So there's always questions. Imagining the world against the city or whatever. Okay, whatever. I'm not getting involved in that, but Rashi does bring it down in Chumash Shiur. So the kash is. So Mamish Chum was a tzaddik. So how did he do something that was like that? So there's midrashim again that who was in the teva? Sechah was in the teva. So Sechah lived with raped her, we call Chum's wife, and any child that we born would be Sechah's child. So the din is by mamzechus, by loy bilas achabal. In other words, why don't we, a woman that's mezaneh, why don't we have a shayla on our children that she mamzeh? Right? We don't have such a shayla. Then is they're kosher kids. Why? Because loy bilas achabal. In other words, she was mezaneh once, big deal. She was with her husband 50 times. So the 50 times is the guy that gave the baby, not the one time. So he wanted to live it to cover up for that. So he wanted to learn that Canaan is the oldest of what's said, and he was born in the Teva. And therefore he came out of the Teva. So that's what he's telling you. And Canaan came out too, and Chum is his father, not Sechah. Anything that wasn't there. That always already wrote. Okay, so that was the one thing. Anyway, they had a kind of a discussion, or not a discussion. This is Chum made a cheshbon. He said like this. I guess each person takes the historical facts and put them into the perspective that he believes in. Everyone knew Cain and Hevel had a fight, and Cain killed Hevel. Right? Why did he do it? The way we have it, his perspective, he was disappointed in his Kelvin, whatever it is there. Chum's vision of this was, they fought about who's going to yash in the world. And we got two guys, so therefore I'm going to kill you, and then there's only me, so therefore I'm going to yash in the world. So that's why he killed him. So he says, we got 3 brothers here. You're going to throw in the 4th brother yet, and the 5th brother yet. Noach is a young man. He's only 600 years old. He's going to have more kids, right? So what's going to happen? You have more kids. You're going to have to divide the world with more people. So he made him into a shofar. That was what he did. How he did it, it has a very strange story, which I don't even know how to explain because I don't understand it. It says, he was a person, the earth, in other words, there's a taina on him. What's the taina? You went and you first thing you was in a garden was to make a grape tree, a vineyard. Let's be realistic. How many years do you think the vines had to grow before we got grapes out of it? And then after you got the grapes, how much time does it take after crushing it and leaving it stand to become fermented and become alcoholic that it can make you drunk, right? Doesn't happen right away. So all of this happened in one day. One day. It was a ness. So it's logical that Noach would have figured, why is God making this ness? Being a ness, he probably wants me to be able to dry my sorrows. I mean, let's understand what he faced. He got out of the teva. He's looking at a desolate world. The whole world is destroyed. And the thing over there, and he's got to rebuild it. That's a very big job. And stuff like this. I mean, he's entitled to a day of drunkenness just to get the keches back, right? And that's what he figured. God's given him a thing of that. No, it's a time on it. You took it, you shouldn't have done that. You should have gone right into the work, get into work. Okay. I said, I can't judge the one, but obviously it was a mess. It wasn't the point of that. Because obviously no person is going to plant the first thing grapes. He's going to plant food, or things that he needs to eat, the grain and whatever he's going to need. There was a thing often before you could go to plant grapes. Okay. Then the Ishkibel the Isheva, Ikirarevet Lama, okay. Ve'ele tell this Bnei Noach. Now, okay, it's time, but this one, the then point, is this the end or not? I mean, the war out there is a big war. We don't know how far it's going to go, where it's going to go, but is it the end or not? I don't know, obviously. But you would say, but it doesn't fit. Magog, this guy, who's this guy, Aran? So Aran is Parshas Modai. In other words, Parshas and Modai were near each other. So they made the deal. So therefore, even though you call it Persia, but it's probably Persia, Modai, everything in there. Now, the kids of Yefes were Goimel, and Goimel himself, I don't know who he is, but I know who his kids are, and that's all of Europe. Ashkenaz, Rifas, Tegama, that's all of Europe. The northern states, the northern countries, because the white-skinned people burn, so therefore they live in a cold area where there's not a hot sun. Okay? But after Gomer is Magog, and then Modai. And then first comes Greeks, Yozvan, and then Tubal Meshach Asiras, which are the Russians. So they always, and it brings that Magog is the king of Tubal Meshach over them. So the kasha is that Magog though, but where is he on the map? So it could be he's near Modai. It could be he's Iran. Now you say, okay, Russia's running Iran, not Iran is running Russia. It's a good question, who's running who? Who's supplying Russia with missiles now? Iran is. So I have no idea what it means, but I don't know what it means, but it could be it's here. That's what I'm saying. The things are here. Anyway, Hatzloch and a good Shabbos, and everyone should have another nachas, and so sein Shalom Yisrael.